Hello, everyone. This is Austin here, and today I'll be talking about job hunting or shukatsu during times of Corona. So let me get my slides to you first. Yes. Yeah. So thank you so much to everyone for actually joining me today on YouTube, and I hope that this will be of use to everyone. So we all know that job hunting has been negatively affected by Corona due to an economic slowdown throughout the whole world. But how is it in particular in Japan? That's what I'll be focusing on. But before I go on into the main meat of this session, let me give a bit of an introduction about who I am. I am the Mixed Scholars Association president currently. I also do lecture on foreign student careers, like to universities, to scholarship programs, and other kinds of like groups. My main job is not this though. I am actually mainly an engineer, though I do translation and interpretation sometimes as well. So let's get into the main part of this webinar. You kind of have found yourself in a sticky situation. And if you're graduating in 2022, yeah, 2021, yes, 2022, probably yes. And even the effects of the job hunting slump may actually continue even beyond that. But in general, let's kind of not just look at how bad it is, but let's also find a way out of this situation. So this is the menu for today. We will start off by looking at how bad things are and how there actually may be a silver lining. Secondly, we will talk about how to shukatsu and make the best out of a difficult situation. And then I'll end off by a note about how this really is only the beginning for what you need to get a shukatsu, a successful job hunting. So let's start by looking at how bad things are. And unfortunately, I have to say that it is bad. But there is also some good news as well. So let's get the bad news out first. We see some statistics here as of last year that definitely the number of jobs per job seeker has dropped by pretty much 1/3. So as of October 2020, for each open job in the market, there was pretty much only one other job seeker. This is pretty much a 33% down decrease from 2019 at the same month. Particular industries have been affected: trade and logistics, retail, F&B, no surprises there, media as well, strangely. So, and in addition to that, we are looking at around 30% of companies who have plans to reduce the fresh graduate recruitment. This was for 2021. We are already starting to see decreases in fresh graduate recruitment for 2022. And I'm assuming that many of you here, like looking at this, are either foreigners or foreign students in Japan. And the above does really mask a disproportionate impact on foreign students and foreigners in Japan, because many of the companies and sectors which used to employ a lot of foreign labor, foreigners, have been heavily affected by Corona. You're looking at tourism, you're looking at the airline industry, you're looking at hospitality, customer service, and these kind of things. Even entertainment to some extent, if your entertainment is has something to do with like overseas. This is why, yes, there is a lot of bad news out there, and some sectors in particular are having very, very bad news about this. But on this, however, I would like to add a different point. If you think that is bad, depending on the country, you probably will have a worse situation if you try job hunting overseas. Japan is actually more sheltered than the average country in the COVID-19 storm. Why do I say so? This is because there is some cause for relative optimism in the market. If you look at 2021 graduating students, this was as of, I think, December last year, the percentage of bachelor students who had at least one job offer was 93.4%. For graduate students, it was 97.6%. In addition, if you look at more of the nitty-gritty and the in-depth statistics for this, around 2/3 of graduating students in Japan had at least 2 job offers. So, in addition to that, while we actually saw that 28 from 5, around 30% of Japanese companies were planning to decrease their recruitment, there were around 14% planning to increase. In addition, this also means that more than half of the companies in Japan are planning to keep their fresh graduate recruitment constant. So, in addition to that, when we look at historical trends as well, the current situation does not look like it is as bad as how it was historically. In 2020, we see 1.04, what I just mentioned just now. 10 years ago, immediately after the Lehman shock and the global financial crisis, it was around half of this. In addition to this, particularly for early career and fresh graduate recruitment, the situation is still not that bad because the job ratio per open job seeker, which means the number of jobs which are open in the market for each graduating student, is 1.53. i.e., for every 10 fresh graduate job seekers, there are 15 open jobs in the market. So this is why, in short, there is some relative optimism in here, especially at the fresh graduate and early career segment of the labor market here in Japan. And therefore, pretty much, this is because of a labor shortage, as well as a fresh graduate special treatment that Shukatsu offers in Japan. This means that fresh graduates do not compete with mid-career people in the job hunting. These are the two factors which make fresh graduate recruitment, even for foreigners, relatively sheltered in Japan compared to many other countries. And if you are thinking of opportunities that Corona has brought, there are even more silver linings too. Online hiring means that, especially for many of you who are outside of Tokyo and Osaka, there is going to be online hiring, which makes shukatsu, job hunting, much less expensive and less time consuming compared to previously. Why? Because previously you would have to, buy the recruit suit and then go all the way to like a major city for your interview, for your job fairs. Those things have now moved online, less trouble, less money spent. Also, because companies do know of disruption that has occurred for hiring, there is also a bit of more slack and more allowances given to people who may approach the hiring calendar a bit late. So these are the opportunities as well. So we've just finished the evaluation about how bad it is. Let's talk about the main dish, how to shukatsu. I will summarize these things into 3 points. Technique. You may want to delay and to pivot. So let's look at technique first. And because the situation is more difficult than in previous years, technique is more important than ever. And there are some things that you may want to ask yourself. Are you only looking at the most obvious places to job hunt, like B2B, like B2C companies that you use, for example? The examples I usually give here is that, well, most of you here will know of Rakuten. Most of you here will know of Amazon. But do you know of a company called SAP, for example? SAP, for me personally, is around the same rank as an Amazon or Rakuten as an employer. However, many students will not know of SAP because they do not use SAP, because SAP is a business that does their business with other businesses, therefore B2B, business to business companies. These are very often overlooked when you're job hunting. And so this is one place that you may want to take a bit more time to look at. SMEs as well. Not every big company is a good employer, and not every good employer is a big company. So there are many small and medium enterprises which are still looking for good talent, and you may want to take a look at them when you are job hunting. Secondly, are you really portraying yourself correctly? There are a few landmines here, like how long do you want to stay in Japan is a common like a landmine. There is a correct answer to this. Please think about what it is. Secondly, what do you have to offer? You need to really think about what do you have to offer based on your experience, based on what you have been doing in school as well as outside school. So define your value. And if you define your value, you should be able to pinpoint which are the kinds of companies which would consider somebody of your profile. So yeah, that's another tip that I have. Are you using all the resources available to you? Because shukatsu and job hunting is almost never done successfully alone. Are you looking out for online foreign student job fairs that have been happening around, that actually do happen around the year? Are you working with foreign student recruiters? Because these are the companies which can help you get that personalized support to edit and to fix your resume and to practice your interview skills. Are you working with them? But in addition to all that, I really have to say this is not the year to be picky. I do not have time to go into all the technique-based things that I want to talk about. I have my blog. My blog is over there. And so if you really want to look more into how common mistakes and stuff like that, my recommendation is to please read the articles on my blog. The second point I want to talk about is delaying. You may want to consider delaying your shukatsu to a more favorable time. Japan does have a shukatsu visa, which allows you to stay in Japan for 6 months more after graduation if you graduate from a degree program, i.e. research students do not count, unfortunately. This 6 months can be extendable to up to a year. And this may give you a bit more time that allows you to practice your Japanese more, as well as to continue your job hunting if you just need a bit more time. You may even want to consider language school to boost your chances if Japanese seems to be like, the major stumbling point in your job hunting right now. The third thing is pivoting. What do I mean by pivoting? You pivot by attacking what is in demand, especially because, honestly speaking, Japan is a country that doesn't really care that specifically about what you study, especially for bachelor's and master's students. PhDs, you may want your job hunting usually has to be focused around what your research has been, but not always either. So let's look at what is in demand. These are the statistics that we found. These are mid-career statistics, but the mid-career does inform as well the early career hiring in many cases. So these are the fields and the job roles where there is the highest open jobs to job seeker ratio, i.e. also these are the places where there is a labor shortage. So let's look at these 4 examples and maybe get some hints about how you may want to pivot yourself, learn a new skill from this. The first thing, number 1, IT engineer, 6 times the number of open jobs per job seeker. So it may be time to pick up coding. I've done it as well. So the thing is, I can tell you that anyone can do it. Yeah, go online courses, build a portfolio, and you may have good chances in getting a job. Secondly, the Japanese term for this is senmonshoku, but this basically means specialized professions. I am guessing that this usually means a profession which requires some sort of a certificate in order to practice. So you may want to think about whether there's any a professional skill within reach of yours, maybe even accounting or something like that, and use that as a way for you to get into a job. Thirdly, there's sales, and you need to think about it. What kinds of companies will want a foreign salesperson? Now, clearly, the more obvious answers to this are companies which have business overseas, which maybe sell their products overseas, or they bring in products from overseas to sell, to business in Japan. So yeah, you may want to take a look at these kinds of companies. Look at what they do. Look at where their overseas operations are, and maybe that can give you a bit of a hint as to whether they will look for somebody in your look for somebody of your profile. The last one in Japanese, it was kikakushoku. I am assuming, and I think I am assuming this includes marketing as well. And right now, based on my own experience, I can say that Japan has a shortage of digital marketers. So you may want to get an online course on this, online course in digital marketing, maybe like graphic design or something along those ways, and maybe you can use that to get a job. So that's what I really have for today. The dessert is that if you're not full, you can always help yourself to more tips, more information, and more of my writings on my blog. So I really hope that these 20 plus minutes have really helped you in giving you some hope, but also giving you more concrete information about how things are right now in Japan. So yeah, hopefully this will help you. And thank you so much for like watching me. And I hope that I'll see you in the Japanese workforce soon. Bye bye.